What's up, Pete?
What's up, Molly? How you doing?
I am excited to have your time today because we talk about the right message at the right time to the right audience. And I think there's a lot that we can do with our digital tools to be on the right platform, to find those right times and get to the technical side. But there's this big human aspect to advertising, which is the right audience. So I want to talk about audiences today, identifying your audience, what types of audiences we have, and how can we really maximize our strategy around this. So let's go.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Let's talk about it. I can't wait to talk about it. I love audience planning.
So tell me about within the omni-channel approach. We've talked about this before, how with your digital marketing strategy, you talk with the customer, not at them. And how do we find out the right audiences to be talking to?
Yeah, I think the first thing is don't discount any medium until you understand and get educated and informed about what the medium can do, who's there, and what the opportunity could potentially look like, right? And that's for any medium. I'm not pitching any medium over another, but there's all these different opportunities to reach customers. I think we documented there's over 73 of them between direct mail and Facebook advertising and Google and TV and all of these different areas, right? So at the end of the day, you got to understand, like, it's pretty complicated. Man, that's a lot of things to think about. But to me, it's where are the eyeballs coming in every day. So are they walking out to the mailbox every day? Maybe. I don't get my mail. I get it once a week, maybe. I'm usually, if I do, it's because my wife didn't get it, and she usually doesn't let me see any of the mail. So you probably don't have an opportunity to hit me many times, right? TV, I don't even have a TV subscription. Can't reach me there. Radio, haven't listened to a radio station in years, right? I listen to Spotify. So I think it's, again, where are your audiences potentially hanging out? Where do you think that your customer is? Not you. Okay. The big thing that I want to tell everybody before you start is don't think about if you're a little bit older, let's call it. Okay. And I'm in my 40s, just so everybody knows. So I'm at a point where I've seen very big digital, and I'm very big on traditional. The fact is if you're older and you're probably looking at it and saying, well, I'm not on Facebook, or I'm not on Instagram, or I'm not on Snapchat. The fact is that you may not be, but you may not be the target customer, right? Your target customer might be the 28-year-old, new college grad that is in year 3 or 4 and starting to make good money and wants to get a new car, right? So that's who we need to think about and where they spend time. Once you have that part, then we can start talking about, what is the right medium, how to spend, what kind of budget should you put on all of that. But it's first being open-minded, I would say, of like, the game has changed. Definitely, we went from the dark room to digital printing and digital photography. We're now going from traditional in many cases to digital. Just people have shifted where they spend their time, and we need to understand that before we even start about how much should I spend and what does your packages cost.
Yeah, now we have cameras in our pockets. It's crazy.
Crazy.
One thing I think is really interesting that people don't necessarily think about is to survey your own customers. Like if you have those customers that come out in your mind, man, I wish I could get more like Joe. I just love seeing him. He's brought his whole family into our dealership. Now we service not only him but his neighbors and now his grandkids. I want to get more people like Joe. Ask Joe where he spends his time. Don't be afraid to survey our own customers. But what other ways do you think we can identify where these ideal customers spend their time? Are there tools within the platforms? Are there different research opportunities?
Yep. Yeah. And to carry on to your thought there, I see a lot of dealers asking people, where'd you hear about us? Well, don't ask for one medium. Maybe you ask and say, tell us all the places you heard about us, or as a whole. And remember, you may not be there already. So asking that question is not the right question if you're trying to figure out where are they now. You want to ask, where do they spend time? Where do they log in every day? What mediums do they use? And then circle or highlight the couple ones that they use all the time if you want to go the manual approach on that. I have a way to hack in and figure this out without having to ask anybody anything and just use the data you own. So we're going to start with that first, and I think it'll make your job a lot easier. So the first thing is free, right out of the box. You could use, if you're no ads manager and you want to go into Facebook or TikTok or Snapchat or any of these ones, you can go into those and you can export all your current customers, right? So you can export your customer list. You can even export all the F-150 owners if you have a certain model that you like, or all the Prius shoppers that you sold to, right? You could take that list and you could upload it as a custom audience to Facebook. First thing they're going to do is try to match them to Facebook or match them to Snapchat. Just tell you how many people are on the platform compared to what you upload. So again, maybe I uploaded 10,000 individuals. 9,000 are on Facebook, 6,000 are on Snapchat, 2,000 are on Pinterest. I don't know if that's accurate, but just let's say that's the case. Inside of there, I can look at that audience insight data, either using an audience insight tool like Snapchat provides, which is really, really cool, or I could do a little bit more digging by taking that audience and putting it into an ad set and then cutting it up a little bit and saying, let me look at the ages. Let me look at some of this stuff on what the targeting capabilities. It'll really, with a little bit of clicks and buttons, you can really start understanding your current audience and what's interesting to them. Tools like Snapchat have a really great market analyzer inside of their system, but you might only get certain coverage. Cool part is there's third-party tools, and we've built one called Market Analyzer, and it's really sick because you could just literally type your dealership name in, and it'll just tell you all about your market, right? It'll tell you all the cool things about who's on TikTok or Snapchat and where the automotive shoppers are and what it looks like for your dealership around your radius and all of that stuff. And so, that's where I would start is kind of look at that because it's going to give you some high level. And so as a dealer, you probably know what your PMA, DMA, or AOR or whatever, area responsibility, or zip codes or target audience is. So how many people live around you? 600,000, 1.5 million within that 15 miles. So let's just take an example. 1.5 million people live around you normally in your census data that you think, and you're like, well, 1.5 million people are, if I buy TV, that's what I'm going after. Okay, let's look at out of those 1.5 million people, how many of them are available on Facebook? There's over 86% of every market that we found that's on Facebook. So 86% of them are probably going to be on Facebook, right? More in some cases. Maybe only 40% of that market is on Snapchat. 20% is on, TikTok. So we can start looking at the audiences to help us start planning some of those things. And then it'll tell us the demographics, ages and income and in-market shoppers and all that good data. So I would start with things like that at the end of the day, because those tools are going to help you get a better understanding. Again, it's about education first. Before we do anything, we have to educate ourselves. What's the opportunity? What's it look like? Are my shoppers there? Then we can decide, do we want to use that medium and what to say to them and how much to budget around it.
Budget. That is another hot topic when you're trying to figure out who we want to talk to. Would you suggest an approach about segmenting your audiences and budgeting to them differently, or do you have
Absolutely.
a different concept about that?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's about the audience size on each medium that you're trying to get on or channel, right? So again, even though you're talking potentially omni-channel where you're focused on the customer, you may only have the ability to reach a portion of those customers you're trying to reach on Snapchat or Pinterest or TikTok or Facebook. So when that comes back and it tells you that you have 9,000 people here and 2,000 here, you might say that, should you put the same budget to that? I wouldn't. I have, 6 times or 5 times the amount of people on one platform for the other. But the other big key is what is the CPM cost? What's your cost per thousand impressions, or your CPC cost, or your cost per lead on that platform? So working with a partner or having some data tools, again, we have tools that tell what the averages of those are for that market. So you can help plan and say, oh, well, you get $3 CPM on this and you get a $7 CPM here. Again, now you're taking and you're doing better math. So again, our market analyzer starts answering that question for you based on the real CPMs on everything that we're seeing on a national scale. So you could say, hey, $7 CPM average times this audience, and you want to reach them 4 times this month is going to be a budget of $2,800. The budget on Snapchat might be $500, right? So it'll really help you start planning that multi-channel or omni-channel approach, depending on how you want to look at it. And really start making sure you understand what that opportunity looks like. So you can say, okay, well, the total campaign across all of these will be $5,000. Maybe that's what you want to do. And you maybe say, I only have budget for 2,000. Pick where you think that's going to be the most effective for you. And that's where things like conversion rates, click-through rates, which again, our market analyzer starts helping you see which mediums are performing better for your objectives, so that you can better make decisions as a internal employee, advertiser, or agency out there.
I think that's so important. I mean, I think having a tool, I wish I had that kind of tool in my in my previous role. So you're not just like, I'm gonna do $3,000 over here and we'll see how it goes. So
Yeah.
you're really having those data-driven decision making from somebody who has access to all of the historical data as well as seeing what works in for all over the
Yeah,
country.
I mean, we hear all the time dealers say, "Well, I want to spend 5,000 on that medium." Well, maybe you only need to spend 2,000. Maybe you need to spend 10 to accomplish your business goal, right? So the tool will help you have those conversations. Again, it's just reading data and spitting out numbers for you. It's just a math game. Once you have that, you can have discussions around it and you can make decisions. And as a owner operator, for me, even as I do our own, type of media buying for ourselves on how and where we're going to reach our customers, I got to make those decisions too. And it's confusing out there. So we built these things because one, we were facing the same problems. We were having these questions answered of like, what should I spend? And we're like, how much you got, and that's not the right way of doing it. And so as we showed this to different advertisers and dealers, they're like, oh my gosh, this really helps us answer the question how much we need to be budgeting towards this. And again, you might not have to do it today. Maybe you start smaller, but you know that there's an opportunity over the next 4 or 5 months to get your budget shifted from other mediums that aren't performing. And as these hit these numbers, you shift more and more in, knowing that you have that opportunity. No different than I look at Google. I think Google did one of the best things, creating their percentage of search impression share. It was called, right, and it's this little column. So if you were bidding on the F-150, let's just say, 'cause it's a hot term, right? Buy 2021 Ford F-150 near me. Like, let's say that happened 100 times. If you're a Ford dealer and someone's putting that in, and you want to show up on that, well, if you were if each one of those clicks was costing you $15 and you were only spending $30 a day, you'd only get two impressions on that, and then it would go away, or two clicks and then it would go away, and you'd miss out on the other 98 potential opportunities. So Google was like, well, that's stupid. I should tell people that they're missing out on this, and told them that they're only reaching 5% of their capability. And if they spent another X amount of money, they can reach all of them, right? Well, you have to be able to help answer those questions on social and other digital mediums as well. And so that's what we've really been aiming for. When we look at it, we're really focused on the social side of market analyzation because, again, it allows us to help people discover our brand and discover our dealership before they ever go to Google and we have to pay $15. We want to get a 15-cent click in and start that conversation, and then get a $2 VDP view later on. It might cost us $4 for that shopper, and we got 5 or 6 different conversations to them socially, versus waiting for them to go in and have all my competition show up and everybody get that signal that someone's ready to buy, right? If I can build that trust along the way, I can help reach those users. I'm going to sell more vehicles.
I think that's so important. Trust is, and how we convey and instill trust, even online, is so important. All our different
Absolutely.
audiences are unique in the way that they listen to us, or the messages that we need to be sending to them. And now we know how to budget in order to get those messages out to those audiences.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And so I just encourage people, again, be open minded. The game has changed in a lot of ways. Um, don't get pitched, have conversations, right? Talk about what the opportunities look like. Think about your business problems and challenges first, because your business challenge can be solved with eyeballs and humans that can take that. And those are local and they're targetable, right? And you then can work on the message. So a lot of it's figuring out first, what is your main problems? Do you need to sell more of a certain vehicle? Do you need more service customers? Do you need more employees, right? All of those things are solvable in business challenges that you may face. Are you getting defects, high defects? Are you, you're not selling enough leases? You can message differently based on what you need to solve for. Once you figure out what business challenge you want, then we can go look at each of the opportunities that are there and help you evaluate that so you can make the right budget decisions along the way and know where to put that money so it's getting the outcomes that solve that business challenge and move your business forward.
That is a very smart way to approach all of it. And if you guys have any questions or challenges when you're doing this budgeting, or you want to take a look at the Market Analyzer tool, we'll pop that into the chat right now. And we would be happy to help you along the way. So just reach out. Pete, thanks
Awesome.
again for your time.
Yeah, biggest thing before we wrap up. If you guys
Sure.
have feedback about the market analyzer, if it doesn't answer a certain question for you, right? We try to write out these questions and say, if we got asked this by a dealer, how would we answer it with data and visualization, right? Or if we got asked this by an internal employee, how would we do this? So if there's a question not being asked on it, let us know in the comments. Let us know. Reach out to me personally. We'd love to enhance this to better serve the entire market, right? Because at the end of the day, if we make better decisions, we all move the industry forward. And that's what we're all about here. So please provide your feedback so we can make a better tool, because we'd like to help answer those questions and make us all smarter together as a community. Thank you so much for
I
having me,
love
Molly. Appreciate it.
it. Absolutely, Pete. Until next time.
All right. So talk to you guys soon.